Let's listen to the subject matter expert's view of the impact of interim budget on personal taxation.
So the key points regarding the interim budget 2019, which was announced by the Finance Minister Mr. Piyush Goyal on 1st February 2019, from a personal point of view is this. An individual who's a resident and whose total income does not exceed 5 lakh rupees in a year, he would get now a tax rebate up to 12,500 rupees, and hence he or she would not be liable to pay any tax. The other change is in regarding the standard deduction. So last year the standard deduction for an individual was 40,000 rupees per annum. Now this limit has been increased from 40,000 to 50,000 rupees. So one can now claim a deduction against salary income up to rupees 50,000. The other significant change is in connection with taxation of house property. So earlier, one house property was exempt from tax. Now this benefit now has been extended to a second house property too. And this exemption is available in the case of a house property which is not let. So if you've got two house properties and they are not let or they are vacant, in such a case, there would be no taxation on these properties. But the maximum deduction that you can claim for interest on these house properties, in case you've taken loans to purchase them, they still remain. The maximum amount would be 2 lakh rupees per annum. Another concession that the Finance Minister has announced is in connection with capital gains. Currently, if you sell a residential house and you invest in another residential house, the entire exemption is available to the extent of the gain invested in a residential house in India, subject to certain terms and conditions being fulfilled. Now, the Finance Minister has announced in this budget that if you have capital gains up to 2 crore rupees and you sell a residential house, you can invest up to 2 residential houses and you can get a complete exemption from your capital gain up to 2 crore rupees, subject to fulfillment of certain conditions. So these are some of the important changes that have been brought in for individuals. There have also been some minor changes brought in. For example, the TDS in the case of interest on deposits with the bank, or in the case of post office savings account, currently the threshold limit is 10,000 rupees, up to which there is no TDS. Now this limit is proposed to be increased from rupees 10,000 to rupees 40,000 in a year. The other important change which has been brought in is regarding TDS on payment of rent. Currently, certain specified entities who make payment of rent to a resident, they have to deduct tax at the rate of either 2% or 10%, depending on the type of asset which is being taken on rent. So for example, on plant and machinery, it's at the rate of 2%. In the case of real estate, that is land and building, it's at the rate of 10%. No tax needs to be deducted if the amount of rent does not exceed 1,80,000 rupees per annum. The FMS proposed in his interim budget that this ceiling of 1,80,000 rupees be extended to 2,40,000 rupees per annum.